All right, welcome back to Level One Walkthrough podcast. My name is Tony. Also with me is my friend that's still sticking around after 5 episodes.
Yep, this is Emad, and thanks for listening, everyone. We appreciate it.
Yes. You know what? You know what's good about this one? If we had sound effects, I would do that little that little sound. You know why?
What does that sound?
Because we are officially on iTunes, Google Play Music, and on SoundCloud. Well, we've been on SoundCloud from the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but we finally got approved through iTunes a few days ago, which today we're doing our podcast on November 16th. So we're official, man. What do you think about that?
It's the 17th on my end, officially. But
Well,
I'm
yeah,
excited, dude. Shout out to the 4 followers that we have on SoundCloud.
yes.
And
Actually, we got a little bit more. We've been getting a lot of people that have been viewing. A lot of it's family, but that's
Mhm.
okay.
That's all
That's
right. No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh
Family and
man,
friends first, and then hopefully we'll branch out from there.
exactly. And that's one of the things too is that this every episode we're hopefully getting better at doing the small little things. Like we'll get our intros down to whatever. But you know what? That's kind of the fun thing about it is that we're slowly but surely making these things kind of eventually where we're going to be somewhat professional in some way.
You know what? I think we're going to be saying that every episode,
That's true.
but that's
Just
all
like
right.
just like just like everything about like the fact that no one's listening. That's probably another one too.
Yep.
So
There's nothing wrong with that as well.
exactly. So let's get it out of the way. Where are you in Red Dead Redemption? Let's just do this every week, and you can give
Oh
us a
my god.
little brief idea of where you're at now and what's been going on.
Yep. So the latest I hunted and I killed the legendary bear,
Okay,
and that was really intense because well, it's interesting
doesn't
because I
he
had the
doesn't go
option.
down? He doesn't go down quick.
No, dude. Well, the Hosea, I think that's the guy that I was riding with.
Uh huh.
He gave me the option. He's like, "Do you want to go to camp or do you want to stay here and track the bear?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to stay here." So I continue the mission where you have to track the scent or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I got to the bear and he mauled me, dude. Have you seen the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Uh,
Where,
Revelant, Revelant, something like that.
something like that,
Revenant,
yeah.
Revenant.
Yeah, Revenant, where he gets mauled by a bear.
Yes,
That's
yes.
exactly what happened to me. I'm
Oh my
like,
god.
I was getting raped by this bear.
But that's
And I was like,
okay.
okay, that's
That it
it,
was
dude.
it's technically your fault for doing that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's going to be game over. And I'm like, okay, I'm not dead yet. So then I
No.
realized I can actually like shoot him as I was getting
Yes.
mauled. I was
Yes.
like, okay, I didn't know that. So I did that, and luckily I got him. But that was
Good.
exciting. I did that. Um, what else? Yeah, I'm still kind of in the beginning. Like I was just like exploring and seeing what I can do. I learned
Hmm.
that you can get stuff called talismans, where
Yes.
they upgrade your stuff. So I was
Yes.
trying to hunt the legendary buck
Hmm.
because I wanted to get that talisman where like the animals that you kill and that you stow on your horse,
Yeah.
like they won't expire or whatever. I think that's what it was. I was
Okay.
trying to hunt for that, but I couldn't find that legendary animal, and I was thinking I had to do this mission first, maybe before I see any other legendary animal.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty fun, man. So far,
You
really
know
enjoying it.
the one thing is that I remember one of them happened where it was just a random character that was by the creek and by this riverbed, and he was off his horse, and he was like kind of, it looked like he was doing like he was washing his clothes on like the riverbed, and I passed right by him, and at first I didn't notice, and he started like he said something to me like, just, hey, how's it going or whatever, and just a simple little meet and greet kind of thing, and I passed him by, and I he kept doing stuff, and I was like, you know what, I don't know what he's doing, so I turned back around, and I just watched him for a second, and I got off my horse, and the guy was actually mining, trying to find gold. So he had that little thing that's kind of like a grill thing that you'd put underneath the water and kind of like shake it up from the dirt.
Yeah.
And he kept doing it, like, and he didn't find anything. So I was just like, you know what? I wonder if he's gonna get anything. So I waited, and he did it like maybe 2 or 3 times, and on the third time, he actually found a little
Gold
gold,
nugget.
yeah, a little gold nugget, and he started dancing. He was like, "Yeehaw!" He was all, "I got me gold," and he started dancing, and I was like, "Okay, now what do I do? Do I rob him,
Yeah.
or do I let him, because he's been doing this for a while, let him get his reward for what it is?" So of course, when he got on this horse, I grabbed my lasso and I threw him off the horse, and I he fell off, and then I ended up just taking his. I ended up looting him. I think I ended up killing him on
Oh my
accident because
god.
he was an old man. I threw him off the horse.
You're horrible, man. You're a horrible person.
But that whole exchange was so fun, man, because I watched it happen, and that was one of those things that you could have just passed right on by. But
That's cool.
because
Yeah.
yeah, but because you stop, because I stopped and like waited, that's the game that just gave you that little piece of this game, these little small little things that are
Hmm.
just, it blows you away because you could have easily just passed that by and that you wouldn't even notice.
Hmm. Yeah, I love those little side missions where you either try to decide whether to help out the person or not.
Yeah,
Like, I was just walking around close to the general store,
yeah.
and there was this hooker that ran out, and she's like, "Please help me," whatever. I was like, "Oh God!" So, so I followed her. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, and
Right.
I walked into a room, and there was this dead guy laying, and it looked like he had like a knife in his chest. And
Oh,
she's like,
that
"Oh
hasn't
wait, I didn't
happened
mean
to
to do it."
me.
She's like, "Yeah, I didn't mean to do it," and this and that. And he was choking me. She's like, "Can you hide the body?" She's like, "If you take it to the pigs, the pigs will eat the body and hide
Wow.
the evidence." I was like, oh, "Okay." So I took the body and I dropped it in front of a bunch of pigs, and they started chomping on it. I was like,
Wow.
"This is crazy." And I went back to her, and I got $13. I was
Nice.
like, "Okay, this is what it's all about."
Hey
Thought
man,
that was pretty cool.
more than $10. There you go.
Yeah. So that's my adventure so far.
Okay. So how far along? How many hours do you think you're in at this point? Because you were like what, an hour or two last time we talked about this.
Maybe like 3 or 4
Okay.
altogether.
Okay. Wow.
But
That's interesting. That's never happened. I haven't had that kind of interaction with something like that at the like the bar or the brothel. I haven't had anything like that. But that's so cool that they even have that. You
mhm.
could choose to do it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
You
I
could have
could have
easily done
ignored her.
something to her.
Right? Yeah, I could have ignored her and missed out
Yeah.
on all that. So,
Yeah. That's wild.
yeah,
Oh man,
you
yeah,
could.
that's what I miss about it. I miss about that game. I wish I had time to be able to try to play that game, but it's just, it takes so much time away from everything else because you want to be involved in that game. You want to just see all the little things that are just going to happen organically.
Oh, I just thought of something. Last time you asked if I could take screenshots
Yes,
at night, so I took
yes.
some. I just have to figure out how to send them to you.
Just just send it like, send it like normal. You can either email it to me or you can
Oh, I gotta
text it to
find
me
the
pictures.
files and on my
Oh
PC
yeah.
or
Oh,
something,
that's right. That's right.
or is it like through their social club? Or I'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
it's probably through yeah, that's probably through that. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I'm sure you can be able to find a way to be able to snapshot and like send it.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
try to
I
figure it
totally
out.
forgot
But
about that.
yeah, I
I'm
remember
always
to do that. I took some nice pictures, like at night and some at day, so you can see what it looks like. I don't have the
okay.
top of the line rig, but it still looks pretty nice.
Well, tell me about what the night sky looks like because they showcase that a lot in the trailer for the PC.
It
How does that look?
it looks really nice, man. You can see the stars, and like when it's a full moon,
Yeah,
and it's really dark, like you still have some light from the moon. It looks really
yeah.
nice.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that'd be really interesting to be able to see. I'd like to see like how much it illuminates the sky with the moon and like what it does to like everything else.
it looks so nice, man. Yeah, I'll try to figure out a way and send that to you
Oh, you know
so you
what?
can take a look
Actually,
at it.
that's another thing to announce is that we also the podcasts are also going to be placed on YouTube as well. So we will have one episode on there. It's youtube.com/level1tester, and that's my YouTube channel that I've done a lot of like older games with no commentary, just the games itself, just playing and going through most of the games. Like Red Dead's on there. I didn't finish it, but The Last of Us is on there. There's a whole bunch of varieties of games, but I mentioned that because we have the first episode on there, which was kind of a testing ground, which is the same episode that we have, but I'm also going to be placing the other ones on there. So
Where are the rest
if
of the
you
episodes, Mike?
Okay, so the other episodes are not on. The first episode is on YouTube, but now everyone can be able to subscribe to us through iTunes, through Google Play Music, and if you want to listen to us on SoundCloud, it's the same thing. SoundCloud.com/level1walkthrough, and on the podcast, it's just level one walkthrough podcast through iTunes and or Google Play Music.
Nice, man. You didn't leave out anything, did you?
No, 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 I did not. But we got all those ones on there, and it's cool, man. I took a screenshot of when the thing was live and when we got approved, and
Hmm.
it was just like, man, that's so much fun that this is like now part of where people can just access it at any point instead of it being on YouTube. Now it's like it's everywhere, and you can just basically people can download and listen to it whenever they want.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's coming along. We'll
Yeah,
be
it is.
professional. We'll be professionals at one point.
Yeah, and some point in time,
Yeah,
we'll be professionals. But right now,
exactly.
what's
So
going on
talk.
right now?
So talking about being unprofessional and wasting a lot of time.
Hmm.
Have you subscribed? I already know the answer to this. You already have Disney Plus, right?
No, but I'm really tempted.
What? Well, come on, man. You got kids. That'd be the first thing that you would get on day one, like everybody else.
I know. I mean, Netflix is still good. Yeah, Netflix still has a lot of good stuff.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, of course. Netflix has a lot of things, but I mean, come on. Netflix. I mean, Google Play Music has the original X-Men animated TV show on there.
Wow.
Come on.
In the
I've been
Google Play Store, you mean?
no through Disney Plus.
Oh, it's on Disney Plus.
Yes,
The X-Men cartoon from the 90s?
yes, and the Spider-Man series too.
Hmm.
Come on, I mean
Wow.
that alone should be worth the $7 a month.
Wow, that does sound like a good deal.
Exactly. You should look into it, man. I mean, the fact that with kids, it's perfect for that because I mean, there's so many movies. They have so much stuff on there. Because I mean, now that we're doing this recording, people have already been watching this thing. Like it's we really shouldn't spend too much time because practically everybody has it. Everyone that I've talked to
Hmm.
already have it, especially if they have kids.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll look into that.
I'm surprised you didn't jump on that, man. You really surprised me.
I let you down, dude.
No, you didn't leave. You didn't let me down. You let the audience down. That's what you did.
And my kids.
Remember, man, and your kids. I'm always on your side. Remember that.
Oh, well, thanks, dude. Never want to let you down, dude. That's
Exactly.
top priority.
Exactly. So, we kind of wanted to. I noticed a couple things that were going on this week, and I kind of wanted just to kind of touch base with you and tell me. You let me know. We'll start a little thing where I'll mention it, and if you like it, we'll talk about it. If not, I'll move to the next one. And
If
it's
not, I'll
only
say
like
this
three
is
things.
garbage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna borrow this thing for this kind of thing from a podcast that I've been listening to for many years called
Hmm.
Jalen and Jacoby. It's a podcast that's primarily about sports. It's on ESPN. They have a TV show as well as a podcast,
Hmm.
but they have a segment called "Keep It Moving." So you basically, I tell you something, and if you want to talk about it, we can stop and talk about it. If
Hmm.
not, we keep it moving. So we're
Okay.
basically we're gonna take their segment because I've been listening to them for a while, and they say they've told their audience that hey, if you want to use our stuff, you can use it. That's what why we do the podcast. So basically, they said it was no problem. So we're just gonna borrow it or
That's
take it
pretty
or
cool.
whatever.
What do
Okay.
you got for us, man?
All right. So speaking of Red Dead Redemption,
Hmm.
they Rockstar sent out a little kind of an update on the fact that there is a lot of problems with the PC launch date or like
Hmm.
what happened and having issues. So what do you think? You want to talk about that or you want to keep it moving?
Well, I've been really lucky. Like I haven't had too many issues. the game works fine. The only minor complaint I have is that I
Hmm.
can't launch the game from the desktop. I have
Okay.
to launch the Rockstar launcher first, and then
Okay.
start the game that way.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm able to play the game. Um, yeah, not too much else on that. Like I
Okay.
got really lucky, and I don't want to jinx it, man. Maybe we shouldn't talk more about it so I don't jinx it.
Okay.
Next time I
So
start it up,
keep it moving.
yeah, keep it moving.
Okay. Next one. EA is talking about another series of Mass Effect,
Hmm.
and they're also not abandoning Anthem. What
Maybe
do you
they
think?
should. I mean, I haven't played Anthem, but it looks like it had a rocky start. I don't know how it is
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Like if people are still complaining about it.
I don't think people are complaining about it. I just think that they're people that have been playing the game online have been basically just been dropping off. But do you want to talk about that? You want to talk about Mass Effect, or you want to keep it moving?
You know what I'm thinking about when you mentioned EA?
Yes.
Didn't they make a new Star Wars game?
Yes.
Can we talk
You're
about
you're
that?
you're jumping ahead, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, you need to follow the format.
All right, we'll go back.
do you, what do you want to talk about this, and then keep it moving?
I'm interested more in Mass Effect.
Okay.
Like Anthem looked really cool when it first or before it came out. Like when
Hmm.
they were showing previews of it, I'm
Right.
like, yes, this looks cool. It reminds me of Warframe. Maybe it'll be more polished. It'll be more fun.
Hmm.
But when it came out and I saw the reviews, I'm like, I'm gonna pass on that. However,
Well,
oh, go
okay.
ahead, dude. Go
So
ahead.
okay, so
Go ahead.
so you want to you want so now we're gonna hit the brakes. That's what it's called.
Okay.
When you hit
Hit
the
the brakes.
brakes, that means that we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. So
Hit the brakes.
we have no sound effects,
Uh
and
huh.
I'm not gonna make the sound effects for it, but just we'll talk about this.
Okay.
So you remember when EA when they launched their actual official first trailer of Anthem a couple years back?
Yeah, it looked really nice.
Okay, so normally when games like that come out that are about to be coming out and they showcase it.
Hmm.
Now, I heard a lot of things after the fact once the game came out, but that trailer in particular really grabbed my attention not because of what the trailer was showing you, but what what they were trying to sell you on
Hmm.
the idea of this game because that whole sequence in the very beginning, you've never seen a game like that where the cutscenes seem to have a fluid movement to it, where the character stops, talks to the character, and then they keep moving. Like everything, the lighting was all dynamic.
Hmm.
People were looking at you and moving. It seemed like everything was moving in real time.
Hmm.
And they even made a point to show that and say this is running in real time with their game engine, which I don't remember what engine it is, but they made a
Hmm.
point to have a little thing in there. So I say all this because a lot of times when games are kind of showcasing what they can do, the game itself is not finished and they do what's called a vertical slice of the actual game. So they take that and they amplify all the things that they want to do on it,
Hmm.
but that is not the finished product. So I mean there's countless games that you can point to that have done this. But this one in particular, only because of the fact that remember that part where the game you would fly through and then all of a sudden the weather changed and you saw like trees falling, you saw the wind pick up, it was like
Hmm.
this rain and stuff
Dynamic
like that.
weather. Yeah.
Yeah, when that came out, I was when I saw that part, I was like, there is no way this game is running on our current platform systems right now,
Hmm.
console systems, to do that because that itself for what they were saying, it's going to be all open world, it's going to be dynamic, you're going to have different things that are going to be happening, and then the weather changes all of a sudden. I was like, no way. That paused, like right when I saw that, I was like, nah, this ain't for real.
Hmm.
And look what happened. The real trailer comes out and it's totally different. Now they kept key parts in it, but there's nowhere near to what they were showing in that game. And they kind of, in such a way, they skewed what they were doing because the people got so amped for that game
Hmm.
when they saw that trailer. I mean, you saw the same thing. What did you think?
Yeah, you know what? When you were talking about that, that reminded me of the first trailer of Watch Dogs.
Oh my god, man! Don't even get me started with that. Don't even. That's exactly. See, you're good, man. You know what? You and I are on the same page because
Yeah.
that's exactly where I was going to go with this. Okay, so go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say, yeah, when you were talking about how nice the graphics were, and there's no way they could run on current gen and this and that,
Yes.
I was immediately thinking of Watch Dogs because that
Yes.
first trailer, I'm like, this game is amazing. Like you saw
Yep.
the rain, and he was like jumping over the car and sliding. But when the actual game came out, they had to do a major downgrade to the graphics.
No,
So
the game wasn't. It's not. See, that's another thing.
yeah, and then the
That was
game,
another vertical slice. It's not the actual real game.
yeah, that was another thing. We got
Yeah.
fooled. Like the game was decent. I played it. It wasn't it wasn't epic or anything like that. It was a decent game,
Yeah.
but it wasn't what they promised from the trailer.
Nope. It was
And
not.
I think that's misleading. Like of course they need to hype up the game so
Hmm.
they can try to make sales and make money off of it,
Yep.
but not to that level where you're thinking the gameplay is going to be one way and the graphics one way, and then you actually get it and it's a piece of junk.
Well, I mean,
It's
that's the
junk,
idea.
Tony.
I know. I know. Hey, man, I talked about the problems with Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed. So I
Yeah.
mean, I know exactly because they've been doing this for a very long time. I mean, they take their elements from their older games and just import them into Assassin's Creed. So they're not really changing and evolving the actual combat or the game itself because they're pulling assets from their older games. Now, the most recent one actually changed a little because it's actually more like targeting for the actual character. So there's a little bit more stats, and your weapons had weight to it. I forget what it's called. I think it's Origin, Assassin's Creed Origin, the one that takes
Hmm.
place in I don't know, sometime in like it's like
In
ancient
Rome
Egypt
or
or something like
something.
that.
Listen,
I
I'm a
think
little
it I
behind on
think
Assassin's Creed.
yeah, it's something to do with the Egyptians, like something like that, Egypt or something like that. I'm not. I
That
don't
was the
know
game
honestly.
before, wasn't it?
I don't remember. See, that's the thing. I don't remember.
Like there've been two. I think one of them was like I'm gonna look at it.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed Origins, and then
I don't know what followed after that.
yeah. Oh,
But
Odyssey. Odyssey, I think is the
that's what it
latest
is.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it had Origins, and then I think that was the one where it was like in Egypt and pyramids and stuff.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
Odyssey was like more Greek or Roman.
Okay.
Um,
See, I don't see that. I didn't pay attention to because I haven't been paying attention to Assassin's Creed for a very long time. But they've done that too. I mean, there's other publishers that have released games out like that to the general public
mhm.
to get first notice of it and to showcase what the game does. But you know what? Not to continue going back to Rockstar, but look at what they do. I mean, when their Grand Theft Auto 5 got premiered,
Mhm.
that game was already there. Like they showed what the game is, and it didn't deviate as far as what the other games, like the other publishers of other games, have come out.
Mhm.
Like when they first announced it. I mean, there's a reason for that, man. I mean, they make a point not to mislead people because they know that their audience are so dedicated to to all the games that they come out with, the developers, because they know that the games are polished and they're going to
Mhm.
be finished, and people get burned by that. You get bad things that happen with that. I mean, look what happened with Fallout, Fallout 70. What is it? Fallout seventy
Oh my
six.
god, yeah, yeah. I haven't played it, but
Okay,
I
so
know what
I don't even need
you're.
to go into that. I mean, come on. I mean, people get burned for something like that, and if people that want, like, when you follow an actual game for so long, like you're enthralled into it. Like you learn about it, you see interviews and stuff like that. And when you see games that are showing this kind of vertical slice, like Anthem, and that game itself is just, man. I mean, they showed so much of that game of what the promise was, and look at the end result.
Pump the brakes, Tony, for a second.
Okay.
Going back to the original question of whether like they should back off on Anthem and then focus more
Yes.
on Mass Effect.
Yes.
I want them to do like a. I know we we spent a whole episode bashing reboots. Like Call of
Yeah.
Duty. We spent a whole
Yeah.
episode on that.
Hey, man, it's
However,
interesting.
however, for Mass Effect,
Hmm.
maybe they should either do a reboot or a continuation. But I really want a good Mass Effect game, like that feeling when you played the first Mass Effect,
Yeah,
especially Mass Effect 2.
yeah.
Like, I really think they should spend more time and energy on that rather than Anthem. I don't. What do you think? Like,
Well, it seems like they're not abandoning it at all. Like the Anthem is going to stay. Like
mm-hmm,
they're kind of doing what No Man's Sky did, like a year later after launch,
mm-hmm,
and they rolled out the things that they wanted to do, and there's the promise of what the game is. Like now, there's an online component to No Man's Sky, which there wasn't, and that's the whole thing that they said that that game would be open, where you can potentially see another person, yet it will be very rare, but it's an online component where you can potentially see other people,
mm-hmm.
but that didn't happen. So now they've rolled it out. I think the game's been out for, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, and they're kind of bringing that game out because it wasn't finished.
Mm-hmm.
The ideas of what they wanted wasn't finished, but they didn't give up on it. So they've done a lot of improvements with No Man's Sky from what I've been reading.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't go back to that game because I'm just like I got what I wanted out of it, and I'm just like I'm not going to spend more time on this game when it's not. I've lost interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to, man. EA is going to stay with Anthem, and they're going to go through this and try to basically try to fix what they did because they want to kind of keep people in there because that's more likely going to lead into Mass Effect. Because in the article that I was reading from Gizmodo, is that they talked about that they're still keeping it with an active like third person shooter, which kind of lends itself into Mass Effect, into them doing another kind of maybe potentially trilogy. But I don't know, man.
You know
I
what would be
just
cool?
yeah.
I, I love co-op, and I love Mass Effect.
Do
I
you
would
really?
love
I
to
don't. I don't.
see.
I don't. I never heard that. That you like co-op.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I tell you when fifth episode. But no, I mean, think about it. Okay, scratch Anthem. Can you imagine if they put co-op in Mass Effect in that world where you can
Yeah.
play with other people,
Yeah.
maybe at least one other person, up to four people. You can have a group, and you're like a squad, and you're going from planet to planet. I and then it has a really good storyline. Like
Yeah.
that would be a game. Like they should invest in that rather than
Dude.
Anthem.
Dude.
I'm bashing
What
Anthem
about?
right now. I'm sorry for any Anthem fan.
I don't think there's a lot of them, so I think you're okay.
Okay, we're safe.
Yeah.
Out of
I
the
think.
out
I
of the
think.
four people that are
Yeah.
listening, I'm sorry
Yes.
if you're into playing Anthem,
I
but
mean, if you know what, if you get your money out of it, if there's something about
yeah,
the game that you like, then hey, you spent the money that you worked hard for and to get this game. So you know what, if that's what you like, there's always something that you can find out of these games that you can go back to and play. But from the way that it's been, it just seems like it just kind of was an avalanche of like continuous problems and people just getting frustrated with it. But you and I stepped back because I didn't get so excited where I'm just like, oh, I gotta buy this day one, because I can see those things and I'm like, nah, let me ease back a little, let me pay attention, let me look at the game itself, and let me see how it goes. Not so much as the reviews, but just so much of like what they promised the game was supposed to be coming out to do,
mm-hmm.
because so much changes within development cycles. So I mean, it happens, but to the extent of what it did, they deliberately stopped things from happening that were in the game that people found out about. So
Mm-hmm.
that was another thing that grabbed people. So they're not abandoning it, but that lends itself into Mass Effect. Do you feel like the success with Andromeda will be the way that it was received? Do you think that's going to be a positive for them to move forward and learn from what they did with that? Because I don't know, I'm on the fence on that one.
To be fair, I haven't played that game,
Okay.
but I read some reviews and it didn't score well. With from what I saw, like it
Yeah.
didn't get good, like it didn't get a good rating, and that's one thing I'm concerned about. Like if they keep going on with that trend,
Right.
then I'm going to be worried about Mass Effect. So that's why I mentioned either rebooting it or it needs something else. Like I don't know if it needs a different team or or what,
Or
but
how about it goes back hundreds of years later. Like take the humans out of it. What if you're an alien becoming the first Spectre?
I don't
in
know.
this global, like this kind of like this galaxy of like this UN galaxy alliance or something like that.
I, I like that idea, but I wouldn't say take the humans out. Wouldn't it be cool if you can choose your race, for example?
Yeah, that was
Like
another
keep the
thing.
humans
That's
in
another,
there,
that would be good.
but there's like a race war, for example, like for resources or whatever the story is. But you get
Right.
to pick, like not just your gender, but like a race, like an alien race. Like they should try that. I'm surprised they didn't do that with Andromeda. Like they should have switched it up a little bit.
I think so too. I mean, I just think that because they've been doing, because the human beings are part of this actual system itself, but this has been going on for, it seemed like hundreds hundreds of thousands of years. Like who knows? I don't honestly, I can't even say that. I don't even know how far it was, but I know that it's been hundreds of years before humanity got to this point where they could be able to space travel, and they found other aliens and other
Hmm.
species out there. So this has been out there for a long time. So you have so many stories that you can pull from,
Right.
and so many races like the Krokans. That
Hmm.
whole idea of these characters where they're the reason why they're even created is interesting. You could go back and play like like these Kroger species, or you can do, what is it, what was the other one? There's like several others, but I mean you could do a lot with
Hmm.
these specific species that can give you a lot.
Yeah, you know, it'd be cool too. Like maybe with each race, like they have their own abilities.
Right, it could be totally
You know,
different.
you're right. Like they can do so much with it. Like that's what they need to do. Like a revamp. Or if they do that, I think Mass Effect would be relevant again.
Hmm.
But if they just keep going on the trend that they're at now, like I'm not too. I wouldn't. I'm not going to be too excited for the next Mass Effect game unless
I'm
they
not.
like
I'm
really switch
Yeah.
it up.
I'm not. I'm on the same. I'm on the same with you. Like I'm kind of a little apprehensive about that because I'm not sure what direction they're going with, and if it's going to continue, then I don't know. It's just I think they hit such a good stride with Mass Effect 2 that if they went back and kind of elevated what they did in that one and just brought it back to that, because the third one had a lot of problems. There's a lot of things that I didn't like about the combat. They made it much more faster. I like a little bit of a slow pace, but that's that's kind of the thing about like how the nature of the audience members that are playing these games, they want them more exciting, more accessible. You kind of take away it being slower, more methodical, into just throw grenades, lob grenades, things like that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just I think
I like
I
more
think in my
strategy.
opinion, exactly, like think about what you're doing before you actually attack people. Like I remember when I played Mass Effect 3, all it was doing was taking down these big mechs, and I'm like, this is boring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about my Omni tool becoming a spear. I don't care about that.
I thought that was kind of cool.
I didn't like that. The Omni tool was for you. That was specifically. I didn't like that it's became a spear. It's like that's another thing that was a part of the future tech.
Mm-hmm.
Did it really need to have a knife along with it that you could stab people with?
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It has to be more exciting, more things on there that just look cool.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Mass Effect, if they revamp it, I think it'll be good. But moving on, you know what I've been thinking about as we're talking about this?
Yes.
Have we discussed Blizzard and Diablo yet?
No, we have not. You
We,
mentioned that offline, but we have not talked about that. So go ahead.
well, I don't know if you've been keeping track with them. Like last year, they were supposed to announce. Everyone was expecting them to announce Diablo 4, but then they announced Diablo Immortal, like a game
Okay.
for mobile games. Do you know
Okay.
what I'm talking about? Have you been following that story?
I remember hearing about that. I have to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know that much about Diablo at all. So you're gonna have to teach me
Skip.
on
What,
this.
what was the wording used? Pump the brakes, or what was the other thing? Just
Hit the
go to the next.
brakes.
Hit the brakes, or go to the next story. You want to
Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
something
Keep it
else?
keep it keep it moving or hit the brakes.
What do you want to do?
I'll hit the brakes, man. I'm interested in this.
Okay.
I don't know that much about Diablo. I remember playing a little bit on the PC, the original, but I don't. that's not an actual like series that I've been following. But go ahead.
I'm really interested in the next Diablo, but at the same time, I feel a little guilty because, strangely enough, this involves politics with
Hmm.
China,
Okay.
and Hong Kong,
Okay.
and I'm sure people listening know what's going on there, and how Blizzard has like really been supporting them.
Yes.
So on one hand, I'm like kind of excited for the next game, but at the same time, it's like how can I support a gaming company that's against supporting um, a fascist government? Oh my god, how did
True.
we end up talking about this?
True. I mean, it's now. Are they have
Pump
they
the
been
brakes.
doing
Pump the brakes.
pump the brakes? So have they now in the past? Have they always been in favor along with China because of their is their audience primarily like a lot of their gamers? Do they play in China?
To be honest with you, I didn't really think about it before. Like, it wasn't really an issue. I didn't really see too many headlines about it
Okay. Okay.
until the protests started happening in Hong Kong, and
Yeah.
then when gamers tried to speak out about it,
Hmm.
like that one dude who won. I forgot what Blizzard game it was, and he mentioned something about Hong Kong, and they didn't want to pay him his prize money, and they gave him a hard time for saying what he said about Hong Kong.
Okay.
So I just thought that it's interesting. I don't know, like how do you feel about that? Like, if a developer
You
supports
know,
like a country or another government that's doing something wrong, like in
that's a tough one, man, because not it's not about the game at this point. It's really about where where these companies stand at as a kind of like a moral kind of issue. So it's not you can be excited about games because games give us great entertainment and fulfillment in our regular lives because we like that escapism. But when you're talking about real life situations that are happening where it deals with people's lives,
yeah.
and it's just that's a tough one.
Why can't
You
we
know,
all
it's
just get along like this?
I mean, that'd be great. I mean, if we can be able to like if everyone can like unify because everyone people that are listening at this point probably are like they really love video games.
Yeah.
Like hopefully they found us and like the things that we talk about because you know there's so much negative in the world
Hmm.
that when you play a certain game that takes you back to when you were a kid, those are the things you remember and it kind of just makes you think about, you know, that we're all in this together. And it's like not to be like kind of all like worldly or anything like that, but
Hmm.
I'm just saying like as a whole, we only have a small time here. And if you think about the time on our lives within this planet, within the universe, it's like
Yeah.
so insignificant. But it's like our life here does make a difference. And you know, if people see that this issue with Blizzard being a moral issue with them, then they have every right to be able to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this publisher anymore, this developer anymore because of what's going on. Because they everybody votes with their wallet.
Hmm.
Everyone makes that decision because you can choose to buy this or not.
Yeah.
So you know, I think for something like that, I honestly I wouldn't be in support of that because if I know that what they're doing, I I would just look at upon it as like, you know what, I can move away because I can easily there's so much other things to worry about that that's one thing I can be in control of and be like, you know what? I don't want my political views or how I see things to get involved, but I can dictate that by my wallet because that's my money that I'm spending.
That makes sense. Um, what if Diablo 4 is such an amazing game, though? What if it gets like a 11 out of
Now,
10?
okay, so going back to the actual the game itself,
Yeah.
why are people upset that it's a mobile game versus a PC? It's kind of a
Oh,
stupid question,
well,
but
well,
you got to answer that for me because
yeah, sure.
I don't see the difference.
I To be honest with you, I'm interested in a Diablo mobile game.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind that, but the timing and the delivery was awful because
Hmm.
they were presenting in front of a bunch of hardcore PC gamers,
Hmm.
and you should pull up the video, like when they announced it. Like everyone
Hmm.
was just in shock and like in disappointment. It got to the point where like they were getting booed, and
Yeah.
the poor guy on stage.
See, that was
I
a
don't
dog
remember
getting
how it
upset.
started, but he was like, "What? You guys don't have cell phones?" I was
Really?
like,
Like you made a point to say something like that?
yeah, like it's crazy. Like he said something like you got to pull up the video and watch it. Like it's crazy. He said that, and then one of the people, they asked a question like they were serious. They're like, "Is this like an out of season April Fool's joke?"
Right.
And it's like, dang. So it went horribly wrong. Like Blizzard was excited to announce it, but they did
Yeah.
it at the wrong time in front of the wrong people. And just imagine, like people spend a lot of money. They it takes a long time to travel there, depending
Hmm.
on where they're coming from,
Of course.
and they're expecting a PC related news, Diablo 4 or something related to PC, and then they hear that the next Diablo game it's going to be on mobile, and then when they
Right.
ask like, do you
Okay.
guys have any plans for a PC, and they're like, nope, it's just going to be on mobile for now, and then I think that's when it came
Wow.
in, like, what, you guys don't have cell phones, or he made that comment, so
Well,
that's
so
where that
so
came from.
so would it translate really well to mobile?
Yeah, I don't think that's the issue though. Like I think it could be a fun game. Like I think it can be done well.
Hmm.
But if you're a hardcore PC gamer and you're being told that your beloved Diablo franchise is going to mobile and they're not even sure if the next one's going to be on PC, like you're going to be upset about that.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
but
Has it always been on PC?
yeah. So Diablo 1 and 2, and then Part 3 came out, and then it was released on consoles. And I think after the what's it called, Reaper of Souls, or I don't remember what the update was, but it did really well after that.
Okay.
Good news though is that the Blizzard had its last conference. I think it was at the beginning of this month,
Hmm.
and they redeemed themselves by announcing Diablo 4.
On PC.
Yeah, I think it's going to on PC as well as consoles.
Now,
So
do you think that this is like a PR move
I think so. Like they're really trying to save their butts. Even during the event, they had protesters outside of their building protesting against them.
after what happened?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, they were facing a PR nightmare. So I think that they announced it early
Yeah.
because they didn't even like mention a release date or anything like that. So we have
They just
no
said it
idea
like
when this is
Diablo
coming
4.
out. What's that?
They just announced Diablo 4 on PC.
Yep, and they showed gameplay footage. They showed a cinematic trailer. Like
Right.
it looks really nice, but
Right.
I really think they did that to save themselves. To try to get out of the hole that they dug.
So other than that part about it being a political stance on where they stand on like how they support one country
Hmm.
to another, were they talking about this potentially moving, like the next iteration was going to be on PC at some point because they've all been on that and then the third one came out on console? Like did they give any kind of indication that they were moving into a mobile platform, or did this come out of nowhere?
The mobile platform thing that came out last year. They announced it
Okay.
at BlizzCon.
Okay.
So
But they
that's where
thought
a lot of people were.
that was another piece to it, but the big game was going to be on PC still.
Yes, but at the time when people were asking them questions, of
Hmm.
course they didn't mention the existence of Diablo 4 or the next Diablo franchise on PC. And that was a problem. Like if they announce, okay, Diablo 4 on PC and Diablo Immortal on mobile, I think
Hmm.
they would have been fine with that. But because the
Yeah.
hardcore PC gamers only heard that the next Diablo game is going to be on mobile, they wigged out. That was the main
Huh.
issue.
Huh.
But I mean, from the trailer that I saw, it looks like it's going to be fun. But I'm just hoping. They have a lot of like I think their main consumer base is in the U.S. and of course they
Hmm.
make money in China.
Hmm.
But I think they should stand up for what's right is right. Like and what's wrong is wrong. Like I know that's like really straightforward.
Yeah.
But if something in the world is happening and it's not right, like you got to have the courage to stand out about to, you know, to say something about it,
Right.
rather
Of
than being
course.
so worried that your sales are going to be affected
Of
in
course.
another region of the world.
Well, in the bottom line, it always comes down to that because I mean,
Yeah.
these games take millions of dollars to be able to make, and they need to, just like anything, they need to be able to turn a profit. And
But
Diablo 4 sounds like they've had a lot of like very dedicated fan base for a very long time,
mhm,
which are willing to be able to spend money, kind of like World of Warcraft. Like if World of Warcraft was only on PC,
mhm,
and then if they one day just said, "Oh yeah, we're doing mobile now," and there's not going to be another World of Warcraft.
mhm,
I'm sure they would get the same kind of result of like people being upset, other than it being a political thing.
mhm.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. So
So
that's my spiel on.
so if they let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So if Blizzard were to release Diablo 4 and it comes out and it only comes out in the US and doesn't come out in China, would that get you to buy the game?
Um.
Or does it or at this point are
No,
you still kind of not sure
they
where you
shouldn't
stand?
ban it. Like, if I'm understanding you correctly, like they
Yeah.
shouldn't ban it in China. Maybe
Okay.
their sales won't be as high. I doubt it though, because if the people know that they're standing with them, maybe they
Hmm.
might get more people in China. I don't know. Like, I'm not. I could be completely mistaken. But
Okay.
even if they didn't get any sales in China and it was only in the U.S., I think
Right.
they'd still be okay.
Right. Because they'll still be able to make they'll recoup their cost
Right.
over time because people are like loyal fans to this, this series or this franchise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't think it should be banned in China. Like, they should definitely release it there, but if somebody wants to make a statement, but it's hard at the same time. It's like they're trying to separate politics from video games,
Well,
but
of
sometimes,
course.
like in this case, it was very hard to do.
Well, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, once somebody did someone ask him, or did this person that's in question, the person that started all this, did they were they asked about this, or did this person just go out of their way to say something?
Regarding the like the pro Hong Kong,
Yes. Yes.
I think it was like a quick statement, if I remember correctly. Like, after he won, they talked to him a little bit, and he
Uh huh.
briefly mentioned something about Hong Kong, and that's
Uh
when he
huh.
got in trouble.
Oh, okay.
So that's
So
what it
it
was.
didn't seem like it was
It shouldn't have
a
been that big of a deal.
question. Yeah. Okay.
But I
Okay.
think Blizzard was trying to appease their Chinese customers, so that's why they wanted to make a statement and say something
Right.
against
Right.
that dude who won. So
Yeah.
that's that whole drama.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, man. I think something like that is, we can maybe just follow up and see like where it's going, and if they're going to make a PC version of it at some point. I'm
Oh,
sure
they
that
would.
they will,
Yeah.
but it sounds like they kind of just did like a little PR spin. Like they already had these cinematic scenes already made, and
Hmm.
they can like beef up the some of the actual gameplay itself from the mobile version, and it might not be that exactly the same, but I'm sure they can make it seem like it would be, because if it's such a short amount of time that they are like, oh, now here's a trailer for Diablo 4. We kind of tricked you. Yeah, of course we're doing a Diablo 4.
Hmm.
It sounds like they just kind of like did a little PR spin for that. That's what it sounds like to me. Now I don't know anything really about this.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of what I'm hearing. It sounds like they kind of did something like that. That's
Oh
what it
yeah.
sounds like to me.
They're trying to save their butts with this. I think
Of
it kind of
course.
worked a little bit.
Okay.
Like, people got excited after that.
Well,
But
that's what they wanted.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So next one, which is going to be potentially our last one, and then we'll move on. We'll just keep talking. Is the one that you talked about? So Star Wars. It's Fallen Jedi. What is it? What's the name of it?
Jamie, can you look that up for us? Yeah. Let me look that. Star Wars.
Star
Yeah.
Wars
Fallen
Fallen
Order.
Jedi.
Jedi
Fallen
Fallen
Order.
Order.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Wow. Nine
that
out of
game
ten
that
on Steam.
okay.
Dang, okay.
So now this game is already out at this point. So we're recording this on the 16th of November. So the game had just actually come out a few days ago, or even potentially yesterday or somewhat. I'm not sure exactly on the time frame, uh, but it's been received really well.
Mm-hmm.
The combat seems very very reminiscent towards Dark
Hmm.
Souls, not so quick as like with Bloodborne,
Hmm.
but it seems like your combat and your moves and your parries and your dodges make a difference.
Yeah,
So
I like that.
I I like that too. I like that you have to be a little bit more aware of your striking and your dodging, your parrying. I mean, we've been so like I mean I, we've been so spoiled with the Dark Souls franchise and even Bloodborne
Hmm.
because of what they're doing with that because they've nailed those games, man. We haven't
Yeah.
talked about something like that, but from software with Bloodborne, man, that game is so much fun. And I've never played a game that makes your heart race so fast while you're playing and fighting a boss because you're so intense and it's like the combat is so strong and so precise that a lot of times it's your fault for not paying attention, not because the game is broken or like there's a glitch or anything like that. I found a lot of times it's my fault that I didn't pay attention to the surroundings,
Hmm.
hitting the wall. Like I try to back up and I get stuck up against a wall or something, and I don't see the surroundings. Another enemy's behind me, and I forgot about. It's those little things that I'm just like I've never had a game like that that just just enthralls me where my heart is just beating. And after you beat that big boss after hours and hours of dying constantly back and forth, that when you finally take it down, it's just so much fun. I like that they took that combat element and put it into the Star Wars,
Hmm.
into that.
Talking about Bloodborne for a second, I've
Yes,
never felt such rage and such
yes,
excitement
yes,
in the same game. Like in one game sitting. Like
yeah,
it's crazy. Like sometimes it's so stressful. Like I like to play games so I can relax.
yes. That one
Have
you
fun.
can't.
With Bloodborne, it's like sometimes you have to be on your toes.
Yes,
Like especially with the bosses. Like I
yeah,
remember this one boss. I don't remember the name of it. It's been a while, but like it took me so many times to beat him. Like I'd get close, and his life, I just have to fart on him, and he would die. Right, like that's how close I would get, and then I would die, and I would like go under rage. It's like God, like it's
yes,
so infuriating. But then
yes.
when you eventually beat him, it's like
Hmm.
yes, like you just want to, like I flicked the screen off, like I flicked it
Yeah,
off one time.
yeah.
Like that's how, like
You just want to do like a high fist pump, like jump in the air, 80s style, where you jump up in the air and you do freeze frame, where
yeah.
you're in the air, kind of like the Breakfast Club, where he jumps up in the air and it freezes on him.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. But yeah, I like that. It like even though it's challenging but rewarding at
Yeah,
the same time, and I
yeah,
like how Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order like it
hmm,
took that element from like Bloodborne and Dark Souls and they
yeah,
incorporated it into their game. Like that's a smart move. I like how it's a single player game. Like how they
yes,
made a
yes,
good single player game.
yes.
Good for them for doing that. Like I'm looking
It's
forward to playing this game.
yeah, I wasn't really interested in that game because I want Star Wars 1313,
Hmm.
and we know that that's never going to happen because the game got canceled. But I wanted that game.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that. I remember
Oh
it.
my god, man! Go. You should go back. Now that one. I don't know if that game is actually a real gameplay or like a vertical slice. I have no idea.
Mhm.
But that game got me excited about it because if you watch the actual trailer for it, Star Wars 1313, you basically are playing. What I think you remember, what they kind of talked about is that you're a bounty hunter and
Oh,
you're going
nice.
into the seething underbelly of like what's going on, and like you're going all the way down into this huge like city that goes underground, and if you watch the actual gameplay of it, it looked really promising. So I don't know if that's actual real gameplay, but it looks pretty remarkable. Um, but this game, it seems like they've taken elements of like that combat with either FromSoft with Dark Souls,
Mhm.
or and also like Prince of Persia, because you seem that the character has the ability to run on walls and
Mhm.
jump off of them, and also like kind of like there's some puzzle mechanics in there which
Mhm.
kind of remind me of Uncharted. So it seems like you can kind of do that. You can grab onto ledges and you can fall down and you can, you're going on ledges like on walls and stuff like that, and you fall down to another little edge section where you can walk on.
Mhm.
So it seems like they took a lot of cool elements from that, and from what I've heard, the gameplay or the actual story, it revolves around you being a Jedi that it's right after the event of Order 66. So in the Clone Wars,
Hmm.
when Palpatine orders that, or he sends out that order, and they end up killing all the Jedi,
Hmm.
he's one of those Jedi's that ends up going in hiding, and he has to like kind of like keep his force abilities like kind of to himself because these, it's obviously all these Jedi's are being killed off, and I guess he uses his power when he's at work. Something an event happens where he has to save one of his coworkers,
Hmm.
and they people witness that he uses the force, that he's force sensitive,
Hmm.
so they send out these inquisitors that are, I think they're sisters or the twins or something like that. I briefly heard about it, and those are the ones that are like kind of like hunting you down because they know how to deal with the actual Jedi itself. So
That sounds
it seems,
interesting.
yeah, it sounds
It's
cool.
pretty
Like
fun.
I like the droid that's on his back.
Hmm.
I like that because if you, I noticed through the gameplay that the robot actually has a green indicator behind him, which gives you a meter of your health. So if you
Okay.
get hit, the droid color will change from green, yellow, and I'd imagine red, like if you're about to die. So
That's pretty cool.
I don't know what the droid actually does for you, but there's parts of it that you can actually be able to like. He helps you out, like you get like kind of uh, like a health bar where you can. It's like kind of like in Bloodborne, where you would use those the blood vials
Hmm.
to uh, to give yourself more health. He kind of injects himself from the droid. Like the droid will pop out one of these little things, and he'll catch it, and he'll stick himself in his shoulder or in his arm to give himself more health. So it's kind of like a health mechanic or something like that. So I'm not sure
You,
exactly what this droid does.
you know what I wish? Like
Yeah,
this game. It sounds cool, and it sounds like they achieved what they wanted to with this game.
yeah.
But have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic?
I played a little bit of it, not too much. No.
Like, I wish that they would revisit that. Like, I like the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
I like RPGs. You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
I wish they would make another Star Wars RPG and just make Knights of the Old Republic. Like, just continue that. Um, I don't remember if they made two of them. I think they made two of them so far, but like that would be so cool if.
I would. Yeah, I think that would be actually a good thing. Like if they took the kind of like I think with that particular game, when I remember seeing the actual combat, it didn't seem to be that fluid where you could just kind of wing your lightsaber and just hit them and just keep moving. But I think with this one, you have to kind of like stop for a second because like you have the stormtroopers that will be shooting at you, and you can deflect the blaster, the when they're shooting at you, and you can deflect them and bounce them right back to them. So it seems it's cool. Like they have a little thing where they're shooting at you, and you can like block the actual blaster, but then you can shoot it right back to them. Right when they shoot it at you, you can just reflect it back to them.
That's pretty cool.
This, yeah, it's cool that they have those little things in there. So the way that it's structured and the way that it looks like it's kind of like more of an adventurous kind of game. It doesn't seem to be that linear. It seems like they gave you a little bit more freedom to like unlock certain areas based on your abilities and your upgrades and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I think they did a good job. I mean, this game could potentially be the you know the kind of the starting point of like making all these other Star Wars games, because I mean, look what like since you don't know about Disney Plus, the big thing is the Star Wars Mandalorian. That's a TV show. It's a weekly TV show that they're streaming there.
Hmm.
So think of a story about a bounty hunter that's like dealing with the seedy underbelly of the world of Star Wars, where it
Nice.
doesn't revolve around Jedi's, from what I understand. I don't know that much. I haven't even watched the first episode, but from what I've been seeing, it looks like it's kind of just reminiscent to like it's like the scum and villainy cantina, like
Hmm.
that. And like it's the entire game itself is all these other aliens, these other characters that you're just walking through. So it seems promising. So I think that could be the catalyst to make other games like this if they use this kind of element to it. Um, do you know who's? Can you check and see who's developing that game? Is it it's EA, right?
Which one? The Fallen Order or the thirteen
Fallen
thirteen?
the Fallen Order. Well, 1313's gone.
Oh, okay, that's
That
done.
that game that got canceled.
Oh, developer Respawn Entertainment.
Oh, wow, that's interesting,
Yep,
man. That's
and
interesting. Respawn?
yeah, and
Wow.
published by EA.
Wow.
Weren't they the same
Doing
people who made Titanfall?
doing Titanfall. They did Call of Duty, doing Titanfall, and doing this. It's different out of the wheelhouse. I mean, Titanfall had that little walking ability, or like you can run on walls and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So it's a little familiar, but they used primarily like mechs, and it was like a first-person shooter. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, I like that.
What
So
What else
with
do you have
something
on
like
there?
that, I think I what do you so is this going to be a game that you can, because Red Dead's taking so much time for
Hmm.
you? Is this going to be a game that you're going to be thinking about that you want to get, or where do you stand in this? Because you now that you're seeing that it's getting a lot, not necessarily reviews, but just the game itself looks really good.
So to be honest, I normally buy games when they're on sales.
Okay,
However, if it's a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, like I was waiting for this. This is going to be a day one purchase for me.
okay,
Um, but other than that, like this one wasn't a day one purchase, but I wouldn't mind getting this when it's on sale. Like I'm not dying to play it, but I wouldn't mind trying it out. I guess
okay,
that's a whole other conversation. Like I feel like $60 is too much for a
okay,
video game.
okay,
But unless it's something like, okay, I know this is going to be freaking awesome, like Red
okay.
Dead Redemption 2 or like
Right.
Cyberpunk,
Yes.
like I'm so looking forward to that game. Like
When
those are the
is
kind of
that?
games.
When is that game coming out? Speaking of which,
I think it's coming out in April. Let me
okay,
double check on that.
it got delayed several times, didn't it?
I think it got delayed once, but I'm not sure. It's coming out April 16th.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that one, the Cyberpunk, I don't know. I see a first person shooter.
mhm.
I don't see it. You remember that game, Syndicate?
Oh man, like the old game on PC, or
No, the one that they did on console.
I don't
That
think
was
I played that one.
from Stardust.
I don't think I played that one.
Do you remember that game, the Darkness?
Yes,
Okay, it's by the same people. Remember Stardust Studios, that they did also Chronicles of Riddick?
Starbreeze. You mean?
Starbreeze, I'm sorry.
Yes, that was an awesome game. Uh huh.
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah. Let me edit that back.
Too late.
Starbreeze, that's what I
It's
meant.
too late. But hold up a second. Go and finish your thought, and then I want to tell you
Well,
something.
what I'm saying is that they're the ones that actually are doing that. So I think it just kind of lends itself to what the game could potentially like. The reason why I mentioned that is because when I saw that game Syndicate that was done by Starbreeze, uh, the game was like a futuristic world, but it essentially became just a first person shooter, which became very boring and very monotonous. I get the same. I have no idea. I've like I said, this is just based on my opinion.
Hmm.
From what I'm seeing in the trailers, all I see is just that. It seems to just be like you're a first person shooter and you're just shooting people and whatever.
Pump the
And
brakes. Pump the
okay,
brakes.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Your opinion is wrong on this one.
Okay, school me on it.
Okay. Remember when we were bashing Call of Duty for like an hour? How like
Yes.
it's a first-person shooter, and they kind of do the
Yes.
same stuff over and over and over
Yes.
again.
Yes.
With Cyberpunk, yes, it
Hmm.
is going to be in first person, but it's going to be more of an RPG. So it's not going to
Okay.
be like a straight up shooter. Like there's going to be so many different things you're going to be able to do in this game, and so many different ways of approaching a mission. And this is what I was talking about. Like I'm surprised I didn't bring this up when we were bashing Call of Duty.
Hmm.
Like yeah, you can make a first person game, but like a more creative first person game. And when I initially found out about this, I was disappointed it was in first person. But now I'm coming around because I normally like playing game in third person, like Red Dead, for example. But
Yeah.
with this game, what I'm excited about, like the story, like looks interesting. The graphics looks amazing.
Hmm.
This reminds me of you played and enjoyed what's that game called? Deus Ex. Deus.
Deus Ex.
Yeah,
Yes, of
like
course. I mean, I the Human Revolution, that one I loved because that gave you the ability to be able to you can go stealthily, you can go you can go aggressive, you can go non-lethal, you can even go in where you don't even hit anybody and you hack the terminals and you get into everything you need to and you don't even have to fight anybody.
well, yeah. This game, Cyberpunk, it looks like it's gonna be like that, but I'm hoping even better, and that's why I'm pumped up for it.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
I I can see where you're going with that because Deus Ex was, I mean that one when I played that I put in at least like maybe 80 90 hours in that game and then even the next one which is Mankind Divided.
mhm.
Dude, man, I spent even more time on that game because the combat became bigger. You can be able to like have these takedowns were a little bit more fluid where it wasn't like a cutscene right in there and then the game would like pause for a second and then come back into gameplay. This one actually, the second one, they improved on that, and it's a really challenging game if you play it where you want to do stealthily and you don't want to get seen and you want to like take down the enemies. And the story of the whole idea that human beings have basically kind of had this kind of synergy of robotics and human beings coming together
Mhm.
and you know kind of being that where it's normal for people to have these robotic enhancements. It's interesting that whole concept of it. Like the first one, they talked about like how people were rejecting what was happening, but then they started to find out what's going on about these. If you had like a robotic arm, they had this drug that you basically people got addicted to. That if they stopped taking the drug, that that your body would start to reject the actual robotic enhancement that you have on your in your body. So you had to take those drugs. So
Mhm.
that's like why people got upset with the actual companies because they made a point to get these people to be addicted and they had to continuously pay for this even though it enhanced their body or like if they lost their arm and they got a replacement arm they had to be able to take this drug so it's like the world building that they created was incredible
Well,
and you being a character that gets these enhancements when you didn't want to and now you're becoming this kind of like a robot kind of person where you're being like a cyborg but you didn't want that wasn't your you didn't want those things it just so happened to happen to you so it's kind of reminds me of RoboCop but
mhm.
it's yeah I if Cyberpunk is doing something like that then I can see it I can see what you're talking about but I haven't seen gameplay that gives me that
Yeah, I mean,
other,
I think
other than
it's
the
gonna
one with
be.
Keanu Reeves in it.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
mean
was gonna
that's
say.
that's
It
awesome.
freaking has Keanu Reeves in it. Like, how can you not be pumped up about this game? Um, yeah, I think since you enjoyed Deus Ex so much, I
Hmm.
really think you're gonna like Cyberpunk. Like, I'm already hyping it up so much. Like,
Okay.
I have a feeling it's gonna be a great game. So it's made by CD Project Red, and these are the same people that.
Which is what we're talking about with The Witcher.
Yeah, exactly. So I have high hopes. Like, I like this game developer,
Yeah.
and I hold them to high standards, like with their games, especially after The Witcher 3. Like that was such an amazing game. Like, I really think Cyberpunk 2077. I'm hyping it up now. I'm telling you, like I think it's going to be a really good game. I think you're going to
Okay.
enjoy it.
Okay.
Like everything you just mentioned,
Yeah.
in Deus Ex, or however the heck you
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex, whatever.
Whatever.
Tomato, tomato. Like everything you mentioned, I
Yeah.
feel like you're going to be able to do it in this game and more.
Okay.
And from my understanding, like what you do in the game affects the storyline, and there's like different branches depending on what you do, and it's going to have
Okay.
multiple endings. It's going to be great. Man.
Okay. I mean, I'll watch. I remember there was a, a trailer for like an actual gameplay
Did you watch it?
that they're showcasing. It was like an hour.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of it, man, and I saw it all, and it looked like I don't know. There's something about it that just didn't. It didn't grab me. I don't know.
You're crazy.
I,
In the words of
well,
Nacho Libre.
you crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you remember? Okay, you remember Killzone? Remember
Mm-hmm.
when that came out in for the PS4 when
Mm-hmm.
it launched? Remember how good that game looked?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how like that game is good, like in the combat itself, where you're just shooting and stuff like that. The gameplay was good. When that game came out, I played it and I was like, okay, that's kind of what I get from this one. Like I really enjoyed. Like you want to talk about vertical slices back to Anthem
Mm-hmm.
when Killzone 2 got released for their first initial trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and that was going to be premiering on the PlayStation 3, I believe. Dude, you go back if you go back on YouTube and go in and type in Killzone 2 launch trailer or announcement trailer,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see something that you've never seen before. If that game ever came out, I would go crazy for it
Yeah.
because you look at they did stuff in that game I've never seen before. It's incredible. Now they try to replicate it in Killzone 2, like that specific scenes in the very beginning, but it's nowhere near to what they were showing in that game. Like they even made there's people that have made comparisons, side by side comparisons between that one and then when the game came out and how different it is. It completely night and day.
Mm.
So when I'm seeing this game, I don't really I don't see it. There's something that's missing that I'm not seeing. But if you're saying that it's going to be kind of like that, then yeah, I'll pay attention to it. I'll look at it. I'll kind of see it from afar, and I'll go off of
No,
you.
don't see
I'll
it from
trust your
afar.
judgment.
Get up close and personal. Dude, trust me.
No, you're gonna be my one. You're gonna be the one going out and venturing out and knowing about this game because I played Witcher not as much as you did,
Mm-hmm.
but you like that developer just like I like specific developers
Yeah.
that you follow. So you'll be the one to try to reel me in.
Oh, yeah. I don't think they're going to let me down. Um, I don't think they're going to let you down either, Tony.
Okay,
I think you're gonna,
okay,
I think you're gonna really like it.
we'll see about
I'll
that.
hype
I
you
think
up.
I think
So
this whole, I think this whole podcast is all about our expectations and where we meet them. So it's
mhm.
kind of maybe lowering expectations and kind of you have to kind of see what you get. I guess that can be a good barometer to like determine what games you want to go for. Because I mean, the games can be expensive. Like they
Mhm.
start at $60.
Yeah,
Then you got limited editions, and then you got like special hybrid super editions that end up being 200 some odd bucks.
yeah,
And
that's ridiculous, man.
yeah, you're still getting the game, but you're getting these other things. But speaking of which, I end up doing the exact same thing that I just did. I'm such a hypocrite
You're a
because
hypocrite. Yeah.
I got the Last of Us Chapter 2
Hmm.
on the PlayStation 4, and I got the special edition, the Ellie story. I couldn't get the one with the bag, but it comes with everything else except for Ellie's backpack.
Wow.
So
How much did it cost you?
yeah, I'd rather not say. I'd rather not say. It's up. It's close. It was with tax and everything. It was over $200.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Wow.
but
I hope you enjoy it, man. I hope you
that's a
enjoy it.
game. But that's a game that I know is going to come out, and it's going to be one of my favorite games because
Mhm.
I know what Naughty Dog does
Maybe
and
we
how
should
successful they are.
maybe we should focus on that or talk about that next time.
Yes, so that's a great segue because that's where I wanted to leave it with. So now that we're in the fifth episode, I really want to take the next our next podcast into the idea of talking about specifically The Last of Us. So we're going to get that organized with ourselves, and we're going to create what's a kind of running commentary with the first hour of The Last of Us, and we're going to actually like talk about this actual game in full detail. Now, it's not going to be the entire game. It's going to be segments within the game that we actually find to be very interesting and what they did specifically in this level that is so memorable. So we're going to kind of jump ahead within the story itself. But for people that haven't played the game or don't know about it. I mean, for something that we've been all talking about story, about characters, matter, having them matter for people that play these type of games, it's like this is exactly what we're talking about.
Yep,
Like,
way to pump the brakes.
yes,
If you're listening, my dear brother, you really need to finish The Last of Us.
he hasn't finished it.
He, he hasn't finished it, dude. I've been telling him,
Oh
I'm
my!
like, dude, it's such an amazing game. And he's like, yeah, I started it. I never finished it. I'm like, dude, you have to, man. Last
How
of
do
Us
you
2 is
do
coming
that?
out. So
I,
it's a shout out to my brother. You
I'm
need to
not giving.
finish
No,
it.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
For what you
oh,
just said, I'm not giving him a shout out.
oh, no.
If he is listening to this, if you did not tear up in the very beginning of the game,
Hmm.
I'm not going to spoil anything because there's some people that probably haven't played the game. But if you did not get your heart broken in that first part, that game has done something that I've never experienced. Now, we've played games for so long, for them to have a character that you felt that was real, that had that sense of real, loss within what's going on. Come on, man! Like that should have been the indicator for like they're doing something special with this game. So you should have finished this years ago.
Oh, Tony got upset. All right. You got to finish it now. But you know what?
Please finish that game before the second one comes out, please, because you're doing yourself a disservice. If you really love video games and like stories with characters that are very grounded, this is a very prime example of what you should play.
You know what? I want to try to see if we can get him on as a guest, maybe the next
That would
time or whenever we can set it up. Like, I'd love to
that'd be
hear his
great.
thoughts, and then we can give him a hard time on why he hasn't finished the game yet.
I like to hear that. I like to spend. I would spend the entire time of him just explaining himself on why he didn't finish that
Dang,
because
you're really serious about this.
but the game is okay. So the game isn't an open world game.
Hmm.
It's very linear.
Right.
The story is linear. So you can. It takes about what 12 hours, 14 hours maybe,
Something like that.
unless you unless you stop and look at everything
Hmm.
and read the comic books stuff like that. If you read all the stuff, yeah, maybe about 14 hours. You can definitely do that. You can do that very quickly.
Hmm.
Now a game that requires hours and hours of actual exploration, like Red Dead Redemption,
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption Two,
Right.
I can understand how you didn't finish the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
We'll give him the chance. We'll give him the chance to explain himself.
Okay,
But until the
I'm
next
glad.
time,
I'm glad that you shouted him out because I'm not shouting him out for that.
that's all right. I'll also give a shout out to him and give him a hard
Okay,
time.
well that's your brother, man.
Yeah.
You gotta stand up for your brother.
Yeah. I have to.
Well, if my brother played video games as much as I did, or I do,
Yeah.
then I would not back him on that. I would give him every reason to actually finish that game because he actually did play it. He's not big into video
Hmm.
games, but he'll play every so often, but that's not his attention. Like he gets it and then he's just like I'm doing something else. It's
Mm.
not like you and I.
He needs to
We're
get more
the
video games.
I would love to, man. But you know what? Hey, if he can still retain the skills to play the original Mortal Kombat arcade, that's all I need. That's all I need. Anytime there's a Mortal Kombat arcade that we ever stumble upon, which doesn't happen very often, but whenever it has,
Hmm.
him and I go back and we play, and he still can beat me at
Wow.
that game, and he doesn't skip any of his moves. He's so aggressive when he plays. Like I'll finish out this point, and then we'll finish out our fifth episode, which is now premiering on iTunes, which is crazy, dude. So
That is
crazy.
awesome, man.
iTunes and Google Play Music.
I'm so proud of us, dude. We're
Yes,
doing this.
we should. It sucks that we're doing this, remotely because we could high five each other and
I
we could
totally
get
give you
that
a high five.
sound perfect. So when my brother and I were kids, we would always go to a place called Peter Piper Pizza,
Oh
which
yeah,
is kind of like the okay. If you know about that,
yeah.
some people may not. It's kind of like the equivalent of like Chuck E.
Hmm.
Cheese, or if you ever remember Godfather Pizza.
Hmm.
Yeah, Peter Piper Pizza is still around. It's primarily like in Texas and in Arizona, so
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like somewhere that people can be able to go to, where it's everywhere. Anyways, when we were kids, we used to go down there, go down and like have like maybe $2 in quarters, and we would go to the arcades and just play games all day.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mall, they had nothing but arcades too, and that was during the heyday of like the early '90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I say all that because my brother and I, and also my cousin Tony, uh, we would all play Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat when it came out, Killer Instinct, stuff like that. But my brother would be so upset with me when we play together when we were kids, because he's 3 years older than me. So when we would play, I would beat him all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets so mad at me. He would punch me on my
Mm-hmm.
shoulder because he'd be right next to me
Yeah.
because he's playing aside from me, like we're both playing one on one.
Right.
He would punch me, and he'd just be like, he's like, "You're such a cheater." Now I wasn't throwing, but I would just beat him.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you this, man, and I am not lying about this. I would let him win because I didn't want him to hit me again. Because he hit me, he would physically attack me, and there's times I I
Pretty
I,
funny.
I shit you not. There's times when he gets so mad that he'd punch the screen of the arcade
Dang.
because he gets so mad. So I was scared.
You were,
I was scared of
you
him.
were brave to
And
play with him, man. Yeah.
I know I to this day I miss that so much. There's so many things about the arcade, just that whole that whole experience was just something I'll never forget. But I would let him win, and then I told him this years and years later when we're adults. I was like, I used to let you win at Street Fighter, right? And he's like, no, you didn't. And even times when we've played as adults,
Yeah.
I see him get upset too. Now he doesn't lash out as much
Yeah.
because he knows that, like, I'll throw down with him. I'm not scared of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I told him that, and then I would see little pieces of that as an adult. So it's funny how those things don't they stick with you. Parts of your personality always stay when you're a kid as an adult when there's something that you love doing. It's so interesting.
That's pretty cool, man. You know what? When we hopefully if we get a chance to hang out
Yes,
in the near
please say it.
future,
Say it.
we should.
Say it. Say it.
No,
Say
hey,
it.
I was going to say something nice. I'm going to say something nice and special. I
Okay.
love to take you to the arcades and just have a good time. There, I
Yes.
said it. I'm going to end it on a nice note this time.
Okay. So you just want to go and have fun. It's all fun
Yes,
and games, right?
fun and games. Yep.
Well, that's perfect, man. I'm looking forward to that. I really do. I think that doing this between the two of us has really kind of given us more of an actual, like, it feels like we're creating something from the ground up.
Hmm.
Like it's really fun to do this with you, and every week I look forward to this. And the way we're going to kind of structure this is kind of have it where it comes out on Monday. So it's kind of like the start of your Monday morning kind of routine.
Nice.
But if I can be able to do it quicker, I'll do it quicker. But I would say like Monday is when every episode's going to drop. So this will continuously be a weekly podcast. And then next week, we're going to have The Last of Us, which what we're talking about as far as us talking and going in depth. And that's where you're really going to get another side of us because we're going to focus directly on this game and in these particular type of scenes, because it's going to kind of showcase why we love games so much. Not to be a love letter toward this game, but just in general.
You know, it'd be cool if we can try to figure it out. I don't know if we can do it by next weekend or when we
Mm-hmm.
talk about The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can
Mm-hmm.
somehow share a video or see if we can try to look at the same thing and
Yeah.
try to do commentary that way, and maybe we can put it up on
Yeah.
YouTube and try to do that as well. But
There is a way to do that. I can kind of we can kind of go over like how that can work. But I mean, how awesome would that be if we start doing this, and we get somebody that worked on that game, or that's currently working on the new one, and they can actually come in as a guest and talk about these specific scenes of like what inspired them to do this, how long did it take, you know what I mean?
that would be cool, man. If we can.
That'd be great if we can have somebody like that. So that's kind of like why we're doing all this, because there's so many people that are handling these particular games, and they're so big and they cost so much, but it's like these are individual people that are spending so much time on this game, and they're thinking nothing of that other than their own personal lives. But it's like it's just work. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just gonna give out a shout out to something like that. So
Shout
I
out to the developers who put in hard work, like Naughty
yeah,
Dog.
dude, we did okay. So now that we're saying that, we need to now invest into having sound effects. So next episode, we're gonna have sound effects. We're gonna have a segment. We're gonna have the pump the brakes
Mm-hmm.
and keep it moving sound. So
Nice.
we'll do all that, man. But man, once again, it's been great doing this another episode with you. And is there any final thoughts that you want to talk about? Anything before we let everybody go?
Yeah, I just want to say that I really enjoyed doing this podcast with you as well, and I wanted to thank whoever's listening. We're getting close to the hour and a half mark. It's almost 2 in the morning where I'm at. November 17th, almost 2 in the morning. I
Yes,
hope whoever's listening, whoever lasted this long, I
yes,
just wanted to say thank you. Like
yeah.
we appreciate it.
Thank you, because he's sacrificing his time away from Red Dead Redemption. Remember
Yeah,
that.
and sleep.
Yes, yes.
Not in
I
that
also have to.
order though.
I also have to work too, but you don't hear me complaining.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. I see how it is done.
Hey man, I mean, I know what you're saying. I know how hard it is. For us to like get together and try to be able to do
No,
this
I
is
don't
always.
mind though, man. I don't mind it though. That's fine.
Oh no, no, I love it, man. I mean, we could do this where we can even do an extended one where we can be talking for hours. But I mean, obviously, we're not going to do that because we bore everybody to death.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear the old folks talk again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right, we're gonna finish this episode. Thank you for everyone listening from
Mm-hmm.
all platforms, however you're listening to us. You know, if you we also have there's also a Twitter account that I created, which I did years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's twitter.com/adrenaline101. So it's 101.
Nice.
And I created that years ago for a Twitter account for my YouTube channel that I did originally. But if you guys want to, we'll create an actual Twitter account, and I like to be able to like keep any kind of feedback with any kind of audience that we have, or in this community that we're just going to be building. So if anyone listening, you want to send us out any kind of like shout outs, or you want to just send out a little review, let us know how we're doing,
Oh,
because it
be
does make a
gentle, you guys,
difference.
and be gentle.
Yes, yes, we're not
Yeah.
professionals by any means. We got so many things wrong this episode, but you know what, we are trying, and eventually maybe we might be professionals at some point.
Maybe at some point. Yeah.
Maybe. So this is it for for today, for this episode, and I'd like to thank everybody again for listening, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Take care, you guys. Peace.
Bye.